Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Meet Praneeth. Today's video is very exciting because today I'm going to share some very interesting numbers based on the green cards that were approved for people from India and China. And you'll be very surprised to see how the number of green cards were allotted in different categories, like how many people applied employment based, how many were from family based, and also some statistics on gender. So you'll be really surprised. I think you'll find this video very interesting. So watch this video till the very end. So let's start with some numbers. And here we're going to talk about the number of green cards which were approved for people who were born in China versus people who were born in India. So around 49,000 green cards were approved for people who were born in China in fiscal year 2021. And around 93,000 green cards were approved for people who were born in India. Now this number, the difference between those numbers is clearly states that with the video that I made and where I discussed that how the EB2 row numbers get, the unused numbers of visas get spilled over and they're used by the countries who are most retrogressed. And that this difference clearly shows that. That means uscis clearly used more number of unused visas from EB2 row and spilled them over to EB2 or EB3 India. And that's why we have more than 90,000 green cards approved for India when compared to China, where only 49,000 were approved. Now, the other thing that's very important is let's see how these numbers vary across gender, categories, and states for both China and India. So we'll start with China first. And if we look at the graph here, which shows us how the age versus gender distribution looks. So if we can clearly see that a lot more people in the age of 25 to 34 years are getting green card approved for China. That means a lot of young population is getting their green cards in this category, are getting approved for this 2021 fiscal year. And I think if you clearly look, there's clear distinction that more females in that age range are getting approved and have applied than compared to the males. And apart from that, we can also see that this kind of follows the same trend across 35 to 44 years. So a lot more people are applying from 25 to 44 years and they're getting approved in China. Now, if you look at the second graph that's going to come on your screen, you can clearly see how these numbers vary across different categories. And in terms of categories, we are discussing immediate relatives of US citizens, family-sponsored preferences, employment-based visas, refugees and asylums, and so on. And here, the clear winner is employment-based preferences. So around 20,000 or more than 20,000 green cards were approved in the employment-based category, followed by immediate relatives of US citizens, and then followed by family-sponsored preferences. Now, one thing to see is that if you look at the employment-based ones, the distinction between male and female is almost equal. So that means equal number of male and females were approved for their green cards. But if you look at the immediate relatives of US citizens, it seems that more females got their green card approved when compared to males, or maybe that more females applied for that category rather than the males. Now, if I look at the other category, or the other graph, which is going to come on your screen, that how the ratio or how the numbers vary across different states. That means in what states, how many, like for each state, people are applying for their green cards. So I'm going to show you how which state has the most number of approvals, right? And that is really biased because California has more number of people, so they have like more number of people are applying for the green cards. And similarly goes with the New York. But it tells us a trend that California, New York, and Texas are the states which contribute to the most number of green cards approved for the people who are born in China. Now let's discuss these numbers for India. So if we start with India, the first graph, again, you can clearly see that the age 35 to 44 has maximum number of approvals and those touch almost 50,000. Now, one thing to see is male and female ratio is almost the same. That means equal number of males and females who are approved. But one thing that clearly this graph tells us that there is retrogression or high or huge retrogression in India. That's why you can clearly see that in China, 25 to 34 people in the age of 25 to 34 are getting approved more, but in India that spans changes almost by 10 years. That means there is a retrogression that kind of decreases that gap or increases that gap, rather I should say increases the gap by 8 years or 10 years. Now that was very interesting, and you can clearly see that a lot more people in the age from 25 to 44, or I would say till 44 apply for the green cards who were born in India. And if I look at the second graph of how these numbers vary across employment base, there is a clear winner, which is employment based. You can clearly see that more than 75,000 green cards were approved in employment based categories, and there was almost an equal ratio of male to female applying for those categories. And if you look at the other categories, the other number after the employment base is the immediate relatives of US citizens, followed by family sponsored visas. And in the immediate relatives of US citizens also, it's around 15,000, so way less than the employment base. So that clearly shows that a lot more people from India apply for the employment based categories than compared to the other categories. And that's why the backlog in the EB2, EB3 is the most in India. Now, if we go to the other data that I have, that how these numbers vary across states. Now, this is a little interesting and a little different from China. In China, we saw that California, New York, and Texas were the highest contributors. But in this case, in India's case, we can see that California for sure, followed by New Jersey, followed by Texas and also there are some other states that were not used here. These are the major ones that have been shown have the major contributors. So that's very interesting to see that New Jersey has a lot more people applying to a green card and getting them approved when compared to New York or let's say Illinois or Georgia. So in today's video, the whole idea was to show you that these statistics are available, and they are available from DHS. You can search for that. So I will also put a link in the description. It's basically called, if you search for profiles of permanent residents in United States, and that will come up, a page will come up, and you can select by which year you want to look at the data and also by which country. And I hope this video has given you some important or interesting facts and numbers. And we can clearly see that in 2021 fiscal year, India got 90,000 plus green cards approved when compared to China, which were 49,000 were approved. And the other important thing that we saw is India had like around 75,000 green cards were coming from employment-based category itself when compared to China, where only 20,000 were coming from employment-based. So we can clearly see that a lot of people who are born in India are applying for the category employment-based rather than other categories. Now, I hope this was a useful video. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and also share the channel with your friends, family, and colleagues. And do let me in the comment section if you have any questions or what are the other topics that you want me to cover. I'm also going to make a video where I'll compare 2020 versus 2021, or probably even go a little further back in the dates, so that we can get a little more clear idea of how retrogression works and how these numbers are distributed, right? I hope that you find this video very useful. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video very soon. Thank you so much for watching.